Hey, welcome to another edition of Ego on Break, and I'm your host Jay Andrews, and I'm a humanoid, and I'm joined by this ham and egger over here, this Mississippi Madman. So, a little tribute to Bobby Heenan for the passing of Bobby.
Okay.
So I hope you got the reference now, ham and egger and humanoid.
Yeah, I get it now.
So, well, went over his head.
Yeah, clear, dude.
But we're going to talk a little bit about Bobby. Share some memories, that kind of thing, and just talk wrestling in general, I guess, just see where the conversation goes. So our condolences automatically just go out to the family, the friends, the fans of Bobby Heenan. Death is one of those things that, we are going to have to deal with at one time or another, and
maybe twice.
We're definitely definitely just going to show how much Bobby meant to us and wrestling in general. So we got a Bobby Heenan memory story, something that applied to your career, just anything in general.
I guess my deal, like when I do talk, I do a lot of one-liners like Bobby, so I guess I took that from him.
Yep.
So even the guys at work are like, we can't never beat you on one-liners, you're too quick. So I guess that could be it. Just in life, I took that.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the king of the one-liners for sure. I think just, especially as a manager, when I do manage, Bobby was never one of those guys that kind of just stood around. He got involved in the match, whether it was being actually involved or if it was his guy getting beat down, his charge getting beat down, he was beat down. So I took that. If you go back and watch a lot of the stuff when I managed Nightmare, you can kind of see that in, if Nightmare was getting beat up, I was getting beat up on the outside. If he was winning, I was winning. If he was fighting, I was fighting.
And that's the only reason he stopped managing is because he broke his neck?
I think so, yeah. And, a lot of people say he was one of the greatest announcers or whatever, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did the night he died. I went and watched a bunch of matches that he called.
But, I like to say that Bobby wasn't an announcer because he was a broadcast journalist. Yeah, you got to get that straight. It's two different things, so if I ever do commentary again, I think that's what I'm going to be, a broadcast journalist. Yeah.
All right.
So,
did you ever watch the Bobby the Brain Heenan show? There wasn't very many of them.
There was only like 3 or 4 episodes, but
the Oinkettes.
Yeah, I've seen a few with the Oinkettes.
Y'all smell bacon, don't worry. It's just the Oinkettes. The lights are bright in here. I love that line. I was like, wow.
I've been watching a lot of the stuff with Primetime from Primetime Wrestling or whatever with him and Gorilla, because they are by far my favorite commentary guys. I mean, of all time, probably. If I ever get to the point where I'm like, hey, and I know this is gonna sound horrible when I say this, but like if I can't sleep or something, I'll just Google or I'll YouTube Bobby Heenan Gorilla Monsoon commentary and watch the shows that they're from, and they knock me out so fast.
Because it relaxes you. You're watching something you want to watch.
Right, I enjoy it. So
yeah. Because if I'm watching like a movie and I'm concentrating on it, I'm into the movie. But with wrestling, it relaxes me and I just fall asleep.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you say, I guess it's like a lullaby to us.
Yeah.
So,
weirdos.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I did watch a couple of matches from Bobby, just kind of prepare for this episode.
Did you watch any WCW or just WWE?
It was actually one AWA and one WWF.
What you lost me? AWA, was he doing commentary?
No, this one he was wrestling.
Oh, wrestling.
He was still the manager.
But I knew he wrestled. They said he wrestled like a manager and managed like a wrestler.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was him versus Lord Alfred Hayes, which I was kind of surprised that was in a AWA, or at least that's what it was labeled as. You really couldn't tell as far as just watching it.
I bet it was at the casino.
No, this was older. It was like an arena or something. And man, that match was so good, but they probably did nothing. But it was so good.
Yeah, didn't have to.
And that's probably the only time I've ever seen Lord Alfred Hayes not in his suit, And he has a huge tattoo on his arm. I didn't realize that. But it was good, especially for billed as two managers, a manager versus a manager. It was very good. And then I watched Bobby versus Sal. Oh man, he was gonna butcher his name. An Italian guy, Salvador Belamo or something like that.
There you go.
And
Starts with B.
yeah, and it was like Bobby preparing, like showing that I can beat somebody up or whatever. And it was good, but it was like on like a Madison Square Garden thing, like back when they did just the garden shows.
Oh yeah.
So this was old, like
Was it kind of like when J.J. Dillon did the match and he was doing all the Four Horsemen moves?
Yeah. So I mean, a little more than that, but that same concept.
I just remember that match and it made me think of that.
But and I watched several like Heenan, like he was on these like talk shows and stuff that wasn't wrestling related, but he was there like in character. And
didn't he go on the Tonight Show with David Letterman?
I'm sure, yeah, because I think him and Letterman was huge buddies.
Yeah, and I remember them just going back and forth and like them trading.
Yeah.
And that was freaking badass.
But he was on like later with like Bob Costas or whatever, and he was giving Costas advice. He's like, I'm not gonna charge you. He's like, maybe I will charge you, but right now I'm gonna say I'm not. And he was saying, see what's wrong? See, I'm on the Bobby Heenan show. You're on later with Bob Costas. He's like, you should take away later. Later is what you do with an ugly girl when you get through with her. You leave her later. And I'm dying because he's just going off on Bob Costas. And but I thought that was great. And then he was on like Regis and Kathy Lee or whatever, like an older show. And then like I didn't even know this was a show, but Mean Gene had a show. And it was like I don't know if it was called TNT, but that was what was in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And he was bringing on Gorilla as the host of Primetime, and Bobby just comes out with him, and he's like trying to sit in. You got the one chair, and then you got the couch. So the guest they're talking to sits in the chair, and everybody moves down. So he's fighting Gorilla over the chair, and then he goes. Mean Gene's talking about him being the host or whatever, co-host. He's like, well, in your opinion, I'm the co-host, but in my opinion, I'm the host or whatever. Like he just. But I watched a bunch of the prime times, and I don't even think he was on the show as much as he was just there. Like the whole time I watched probably 30 clips, and all of them was him on the phone. Like
he's probably talking to nobody. It's probably a dead phone.
He was talking to his secretary, Miss Betty.
Yeah,
that's
dead
his
phone.
Yeah, Miss Betty is his private secretary. So. If that's a little bit of Bobby the Brain Heenan trivia, is now you know who his private secretary was.
Yes.
Because her name came up a ton, like so much. I was like, well, who the hell is Betty? Because somebody like he's using that name for a reason.
Maybe the sister or aunt or somebody you knew named Betty.
Right. So I'm like, man, like he used her like it was always Miss Betty, get me my attorneys, or like it was always Miss Betty.
Or maybe a simple name that you could remember.
It could have been, so.
I remember they did that one show, and it's him and Gorilla out there, but Gorilla's in a monkey suit. And at the end, Gorilla shows up with a suitcase. He goes, "I'm sorry, I'm late." And he goes, well, "Who the hell have I been talking to for the last hour?" And it was like the camera guy, like they just happened to be the same size, so he put it on the camera on the monkey
that's
suit.
Pretty funny. Yeah, I watched one where he was he's gonna lead the Gorilla through the woods to see where Andre was training at.
I remember that.
He said he wanted to take him through the back way or whatever so Gorilla would feel at home, and he brought him a bundle of bananas and kept getting lost. And Gorilla's like, I know, I've been here. Look, there's one of my banana peels. Like, that was great, man.
Well, what I watched the other night, I remembered they did the match, and it was one of my favorite matches, but it was Cactus Jack and Vader.
Yeah.
But it's Tony Schiavone and him calling the match.
Yep.
But I was just like, that was crazy stuff. I liked him and Schiavone, and I know a lot of people didn't like him and Schiavone, but I thought they played off each other pretty well.
Oh yeah, I did too. I watched the final. He quit like Thursday night Thunder or something or Saturday night, whatever WCW is like.
Thunder.
But it was before Thunder, I believe. I don't think it was Thunder. No, he was on there with another guy. With
God, they had too many shows, dude.
But it may have been Thunder, but they brought Dusty in as a third.
Yeah.
And Heenan threw a fit and told us it was me or him or whatever. He tried to fire Dusty.
And then they wound up being a 3-man team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't leave, and like Brain was like, I'm gonna count to 10. Like he'd leave, camera come back on, and like so he was trying to like not leave or whatever, save face, but it was hilarious.
Yeah, because I liked him too. Because that was another one like he was good with one-liners.
Yep.
Him and Bobby could go back and
Yep.
forth. And Shivani sat there going, "What the hell am I stuck in the middle of?"
And the Worldwide though, he was on there with Scott Hudson, I think.
Yeah.
And the last episode of that, Brain was saying, "Oh, I'm going to be back next week or whatever, and I'm going to show you the difference. I'm going to be on here with Larry Zabisco, and we're going to show you how moves work or whatever." And he was like, "I'll show you the difference an inch can make when putting on a move or whatever. So let me see your arm." So he's like, "Twist my arm." So Scott Hudson's twisting his arm, and he gets through, and he see what an inch done, and he's like, "Yeah," and they're like, "See, I got your wallet." So he's like, "Well, you're." So he pickpocketed his wallet. So but yeah, man, like Brain was so entertaining, and I think what a lot of people remember him from is he was Bobby the Brain, but everybody chanted Weasel or whatever, and then he would have the Weasel match where they put him to sleep, put him in the Weasel costume, and he'd flip out and chase his tail, and like, man, the dude was so good. And like just his story itself is a success story because he dropped out of school in like elementary or junior high or something.
Yep.
And was raised by like didn't know his dad or whatever, raised by just like his mom and his aunt and his grandma. So he started working in like 4th grade, like with a job to help take care of the family.
Do what you gotta do.
Yeah,
man.
so I mean, it's so crazy. Like, here's this guy that has been around the world, and was a television star, and he dropped out of school at 5th grade, or 6th grade or 8th grade or whatever it was. Like, I know it was 8th or less,
You say I know a lot of people that are way smarter that have not been as much school as other people.
Yep.
You can make yourself smarter. You ain't
Right,
gonna be in
right,
school.
and I think that's what Brain did. He's like, I learned a lot of tough lessons.
Man.
I learned a lot of tough lessons.
Yeah.
So, and I was just trying to think of other things that I remember that he did. I mean, obviously, like.
You remember when he left WWE and Gorilla's kicking him out? And he had went in the closet and he basically had took a bunch of toiletries. He goes, "What the hell are you stealing this shit for?" And he had like toilet paper and a plunger and all kinds of crap. He's like, who else would throw me out but Gorilla?
Yeah.
So it was his idea.
He they did one episode of Primetime where it was Christmas, and they were at Caesar's Palace, or where they were doing the build up for WrestleMania 10 or 9, whichever one took place at Caesar's Palace.
That's when they come out on the animals.
Yeah.
That's 9.
Okay. Well, Gorilla's got this nice wrapped big box present, and some guy like brings in a box that's got like duct tape on it or whatever, and it's like smashed in, and for Gorilla, that was from Bobby or whatever. So Bobby's like, "I'm not taking your present, whatever, it's probably a gag or what, you're just messing with me." And so Gorilla opens Bobby's, and it's just like everything he could have stolen from Caesar's Palace, like napkins and matchbooks and the straws you stir your coffee with, and he's like, "That guy he switched it. I had you very nice hand carved, like spent $900, blah blah blah, whatever." Like, and trying to blame it on the guy that delivered it. And then Gorilla wasn't gonna take it, so he was like, "Well, I'll just show you what I got." And it was like a big, nice, like phone. He's like, "I got you this. You're always having problems with the other phone." He's like, "No, that's my gift. Give it back." Like, it was good stuff, man. Like, and then they did one episode where it was like, for some reason, I watched like probably out of the 30 or 40 I watched, probably 15 of them had cake, so they had something going on all the time with the cake. But one episode, Gorilla got a phone call, and it's like the guy at the baker says one of the guys got flour and baking soda mixed up, not to eat the cake. Brain's like, "No, he just doesn't want. I got to take this cake upstairs to the party. I got a bunch of Puerto people, and just smell it." And so he reached over to smell it, and then Gorilla reached over to get the phone and smashed his face into the cake. So that was pretty funny.
He did a lot of stuff.
What do you think about Heenan? His group of wrestlers. He didn't have a stable; he had a family. Like, what do you think that the difference of that was? And I'll tell you what he said.
What was the difference?
Yeah. Like, why did he not have a stable?
I don't know.
In his words, a stable is somewhere where you put flying horses. a family is what they are. And the guy's like, well, do y'all live in the same house? Like, no, but we have a family mentality. You know, it's not one guy out for himself. We're all out for an ultimate goal, and that's to defeat Hogan. And he's like, just like, you know, I've got, I think Hogan had a big match come up with Paul Orndorff or whatever. And he's like, you know, if he had King Kong Bundy and somebody else like lined up, he's like, he's going to injure you, he's going to hurt you, and that way, you know, Orndorff can take the title off because we're a family or whatever. So like, each guy knew his role. You know, it wasn't like, oh, we're all these guys and we're all going to have titles. Like, our main goal is to defeat Hogan. You know, that's kind of the essential thing.
Well, I remember when Flair came in and they did the Be Fair to Flair.
Yeah.
And it was basically him and Perfect and Flair, right? As a group, more or less.
Yeah. And I watched something like a round table type thing, and it was Vince kind of in the center, and then Heenan and Perfect was on one side, and then I think it was Gorilla and Slick, and they were talking about the Undertaker and Paul Bearer or whatever, and Vince had asked, he's like, so Reverend, you've done, you know, end of time kind of thing, you've done funerals, essentially what he was asking. And he said, yeah, and, you know, blah, blah, I've done, you know, but when I do them, they're different than what the Undertaker and Paul Bearer does. And he goes, well, can I ask you a question? So you've done these things, right? He's like, so how difficult is it to get the gold teeth out of them? And Perfect pops huge. Like, Perfect popping was more funny because you know it was just off the top of his head, you know.
I don't think if they gave Bobby a script, he'd know what the fuck to do with it. He'd be like, look, trash.
Yeah, I know what he'd do with it, wipe his butt.
Yeah, exactly, trash.
So,
I mean,
do you remember, was it, I don't know if it was Monday Night Raw when Raw was first coming on, like the first episode where he kept trying to dress up to get into the building or whatever? Where he was,
I'm not remembering.
He was dressed up like a woman.
On Raw.
No, like I think he was trying to get in, and they wouldn't let him in.
Oh, and he spends the whole show outside?
Outside trying to get in.
I remember it, but I don't think it was Raw.
It may not have been Raw, but there was an episode.
I don't think he even got to Raw. I think Raw, maybe it was.
I think it was the first episode, like, why ain't I on here? Well, I should be trying to get in kind of deal.
Okay.
But I could be completely wrong with that.
I remember it was a wrestling show, but I didn't know if it was Raw or not.
But, you know, they were doing like the big presentation of it, and I think that's why I'm thinking it was Raw. So that was always kind of pretty funny.
I mean, I was trying to think of all the feuds, but everything I can always remember is always Hogan or Warrior. Mm-hmm. And didn't he have a feud with Terry Taylor as the Red Rooster?
Yeah, he was manager of Terry for a little bit, and then he done away with it. He said because Terry didn't have the brains to be led or whatever.
He did dress up like a chicken.
Yeah. So and then there was the feud with like Hercules Hernandez, where he tried to sell this contract to Teddy DiBiase.
Yeah.
And he was being interviewed by that, and he was like, "What's the difference between, you know, the Yankees trade? They don't talk to the guy. They trade you off, and bam, you're gone." He's like, "I had it lined up for Hercules to have a really good job. He'd been chained up in the back, you know, got some bones every so often, blah blah blah, you know." And they were trying to compare it to like him being $1 million man slave or whatever. And he was like, look at him now. He's walking around, don't have no direction. Like, DiBiase had a plan for him, you know. He wasn't smart enough for me to lead. So DiBiase's like, I just need, you know, somebody chained up in the backyard. Wow. Like, this guy was crazy. Yeah. But I'm like, man, it was, like, Heenan was so over, you know, like, and then, you know, he was a wrestler, but then he was in with, like, you know, AWA. Like, a lot of people don't give that credit, but, like, he had Ray Stevens and Nick Bockwinkel. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that in AWA, you know. Yeah. So I mean, the stuff he did there was good too, you know, and that's the reason Vince stole him, you know.
He never was in Texas, was he, with the Von Erichs?
I don't think so. No, because they had Percy Pringle or whatever out there. So,
but somebody had said that, and I'm like, I don't think that's right. I said, I'm not. I have to look it up for sure, but. I said, I don't think he ever did that.
And I mean, not saying that he probably didn't shoot in through there once or twice.
But
like I mean, for a long period of time, I don't think
television
he was there.
Stuff like that.
No, I think he was mainly like AWA and then WWF and then WCW.
Yeah. And WCW, all he ever did was announcing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think he managed at all.
I think they were hinting at it one time, but he just said he couldn't because of his neck.
Yeah. So Oh man, I guess we have did 20 minutes on Brain. I didn't think we'd go that long. Let's wrap it up with. I don't know. Do you remember another like one-liner or just something that he said that kind of just wrap it up with a one line?
I saw where he was talking about trying to defeat cancer, and I guess in the end he didn't.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of sad, but I mean, he fought to the bitter end, so I guess you can look at it that way. He was always a fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I bet he cheap shotted cancer too. So.
He's probably in there like filling his pockets full of stuff when he went to the doctor. Like, why you need 12 boxes of rubber gloves and some gauze? Well, you know, it's what the Brain would have done. Yeah, so,
true.
So, Mr. Heenan, you know, thanks for entertaining us for years.
I bid you a fond farewell.
Absolutely, and we're not going to promote anything on this one. So just, hey, go out and check out Bobby Brain. Anything you find of his,
it's worth watching.
Yeah, he'll definitely entertain you. And read his book. It's pretty good. I've been reading it.
I've read it before. I got to reread it.
So, later, guys.